Good morning, good morning, good morning. I know we tracking way behind time. It's fine. I'm gonna give you that time back. I am gonna give you that time back. I'm looking at Instagram. We're getting Instagram all set up. I've been feeling a little bit under the weather, so not under the weather as in like I'm contagious. I'm sick. I'm gonna be real with y'all. Y'all know I got this thing called fibromyalgia. So some days are really great, some days are really bad. And yesterday was a really bad day. And what that means for me is that my pretty much can't move. I, I can't move. My legs freeze up on me. So it's not quite, you get tested for lupus and all these different things, but I don't have any of that. I have fibromyalgia and sometimes it kicks my butt. So it's a late start this day. I try to make sure promises made or promises kept. I said we'll do this every Thursday unless I need that mental health break or anything, but we always gonna be here. We're always gonna be here. Thank you so much. Good morning, Kristen. Good morning, everybody. Yo, we got a pretty interesting, there's something particular that I want to talk about today. And that's part of the reason why I was like meditating this morning, got my tea, rubbed my legs down, took some deep breaths because there's not a whole lot of medicine for what I have. There's not a whole lot of medicine out there that's helpful. It's just a practice of listening to your body. But I had to get on because we've got some pretty serious things happening here in Virginia. And and I wanted to follow up. If you got a chance to watch our election roundtable, there's a piece of this that I think absolutely has to be talked about. So let's get into it. It is voting season, right? Here in the Commonwealth of Virginia, I believe we have the most early voting days. The most early voting days in the United States. Let me make sure. Hold on, y'all, because I feel like I'm lagging. I'm on internet acting ugly. Make sure that we get this right. Okay, so voting rights is important. We can all agree on that. At least I hope we can all agree on that. And it is something that is being discussed and will continue to be discussed. Who gets to vote early, how easy they get to vote, preventing cheating in elections, right? Like the department and it matters. All of it matters because voting is how we people choose our leadership, and making sure that everybody can vote easily and fairly is important for democracy, right? Like super important. Like I can't even underscore it because it's the fact. Next year you will see that we're gonna be having, actually in a couple, next month I will be in Richmond. I'm on the Privileges and Elections Committee, and we're going to be taking up some constitutional amendments. One of them is about the automatic restoration of rights, right? When people do their time, they do their things, they should get their right to vote back. That's how we should be doing business. If you agree, give me a thumbs up. Like, this is how we should be doing. If you do your time, you should be able to keep it moving. But I bring this up because in recent news, and if you're like me, I should be up on news, but I try to stay away from it sometimes, but give myself alerts to make sure I'm being attentive. But the Department of the U.S., the United States Department of Justice, recently sued Virginia for allegedly removing voters from the registration list too close to our upcoming November elections, which in doing that may violate federal law. A law that was meant to protect voters. And so the governor and his administration is defending the action, saying it was necessary to prevent illegal voting, right? Like, but of course, right? So, but the U.S. Department of Justice, okay? So in this case, let me get this. In the case, Virginia, what they did was they removed voters whose registration information was like flagged for potentially incorrect or outdated information. That happens, old data from the DMV. And so these voters were sent notices to verify their eligibility And for those that didn't respond in 14 days, they were just taken off the rolls. And the concern here is that those voters might have been removed due to mistakes, like issues like mismatch or outdated information with the DMV data, right? So like no fault of their own. There was some mismatch. Like my neighbor, he was trying to get his life. They put his first name as his middle name. He had to go back because somebody stole his wallet. It's a whole thing, right? Issues like that. And so what I put my antennas up is, first of all, the violation of federal law, right? They gave them 14 days. And y'all know, you and I know, this is why I said, if you're voting by mail, as soon as that ballot comes, send that bad boy off, because we know that the United States Postal Service is going to play a critical role in notifying people, right? And getting your ballot to the polling station. Getting your ballot handed in. And so, they're playing a role. You're talking about 14 days, and Virginia's programs that required folks to respond in 14 days to confirm their eligibility. If they didn't respond, they're removed. And that process relies on timely mail delivery. Any delays or issues with mail would result in somebody being deemed ineligible, right? Unfairly removed, right? Like unfairly removed. And so here's what happens. The governor put out why this happened. And we got to go back to the why. So now we're saying we're removing people. We gave them 14 days. And I'm not saying that's a selective we. That's not a collective we. DOJ said it was too close to the filing date. And I actually want to help you understand the federal law. So the federal law that they're saying that this executive branch, that the governor and his administration violated, was a federal law called the National Voter Registration Act of 1993. I'm going to say that again, the National Voter Registration Act of 1993. Specifically, it includes this provision known as the quiet period. Right? It's called the quiet period, which prohibits states from systematically removing voters from their registration within 90 days of a federal election. We have a federal election coming up, right? This is why the federal law, these are not state level elections, just state level elections that we have. Actually, I don't think we have any state level. We have federal and local elections on this ballot. And the aim was to avoid errors and to prevent the removal of eligible voters leading up to elections. Why? Because people do that script, right? Because this is why we have the National Voter Registration Act of 1993. So that law would ensure that any removals must happen early, right? They have to happen early to give people enough time to correct the potential errors and mistakes and to avoid disenfranchisement. And so that word disenfranchisement hits home hard, because what the administration did in their executive order instructed Virginia's election board to update these voter dates. So the governor said, hey, I'm putting out this executive order. Remember, we talked about what an executive order is. I'm putting out this order and I'm telling the election board to update their voter rolls using the information from the DMV. Yes. And the goal was to ensure that the voter lists were accurate, right? That's what they say, to accurate and that people were still eligible. These notices were sent, right, the full 14 days. The timing of this, right? That it is okay to make sure that any of us to say, like, we've got to make sure we have very good voter data, making sure but the timing of this order, right? And then also the use of this fight. And if you guys look at the sentiment right now, it's pinning it on non-citizens voting and things like that. That's no, we're not playing that. No distraction, because you had plenty of time to make this happen. The timing of this order was too close to the election period, right? Remember what the National Voter Registration Act of 1993 said, within 90 days. It was too close to election period. And that should raise concerns for anyone, and especially raise concerns for the DOJ of violating federal rules that would prevent voters from being removed too close to election day. I'm looking in the comments. K. Willie, says, yes, the US DOJ is correct. This administration is diabolical. 14 days. Who responds to anything in 14 days? What? Stop the madness on Instagram. I'm with you. Stop the madness. Stop the freaking madness. And the quiet period alone should have stopped this. And I agree with K Willie 971984 on Instagram says, I agree with that quiet period alone, the federal law. Again, I'm going to repeat that law again so we all understand it. It's the National Voter Registration Act of 1995. Excuse me, 1993. Ooh, I love you. See you. Set your intentions. Absolutely. And Leslie O'Connor says, look, this is so infuriating, sowing distrust in our Virginia elections on the national level. So infuriating. And listen, I'm going to tell you something. I'm going to start posting pieces of when we got to speak to the commissioner of elections. We don't have there's no widespread fraud in Virginia. These things are not that's not happening here, right? Like this is not happening here. And so the thing that's happening here is that based on that National Registration Act of 1993, and I'm going to say this again because we have to help people have language and stop talking about citizen, non-citizen, none of that bull crap. Because there was a 90-day quiet period before a federal election. The DOJ is going to argue their case, and that DOJ is going to argue their case that Virginia. I keep saying Virginia. That this administration, the governor's administration, is disenfranchising eligible voters by conducting this purge because that's what they're doing too close to an election. And if the court agrees, Virginia is likely to have to restore the removed voters and revives the procedures to comply with, and I'm going to call it the NVRA, the National Voter Registration Act of 1993, the NVRA, right? That might be happening. I am so sorry. Lisa, that Shay says it literally happened to my mom this week on Instagram. They claim she didn't vote in the last 2 general elections. Untrue. And those are the stories that are being missed, right? That people are being taken off and they one store, I think it was the Mercury, I can't remember what news outlet, actually went to some counties and were like trying to find out who's gotten restored, who hasn't. This is important for us to know because this election is so important. Cannot underscore what it will mean for a lot of us, for a myriad of reasons. There's so much at stake. Charlene says, it continues to amaze us the depths what they will go to keep us from voting. Right. Yes. Under the guise of what? And that's the problem that I have is that when people do this foolishness and fuckery, they point to the people that are probably least able to defend. Right. So they're like, these non-citizens. And that's what's being said. Right. Like that's what's being said on the other side. And y'all know I like to keep it funky. I like to see all sides of a situation so that we can have a candid conversation. But this right here, there's no all sides. If you did it this is federal law, and we cannot have to Leslie's point, Leslie O'Connor Hogan, who said, like, on a national level, Virginia has worked so hard, or the legislators that have come before me have worked so hard since 2020 to make sure that we encourage voter participation, that the laws, we went from 40, I think she said 48 to like 11th or 12th. We are working our way up on ease of voting, and doing stuff like this, to your point, sows distrust. Now, all Virginians, every last one of them, every last one should find this important because it directly impacts our rights to vote and how people will go. And so if you're an eligible voter, and thank goodness that Lachey, your mom got to pick up on it and see it. If eligible voters are removed from that list too close to election, then it can prevent them from voting if they don't catch it. And this is why we have to know what we're able to do. We have same-day registration. Right? The last day to register was on Tuesday, October 15th. But on election day, we have same-day registration, okay? Which means that you can go in on the day of election. You can go in on election day, register, and cast a provisional ballot. Do you hear me? So if you or someone else find yourself in that situation, you go in, say, you know what? I want to register today, and I want to cast a provisional ballot, period. right? Because voting is a key part of our democracy. Whether we like it or not, whether we like politics or not, it's a key part of our democracy, and any process that may prevent or that may disenfranchise voters should be a concern for everyone. Yeah. And quite frankly, Virginia, I sound like my delegate friend. She says, quite frankly, Virginians should ensure that their voter registrations are up to date, right? That's on us. We got to make sure our stuff's up to date. But we also should not have run the risk of our executive branch of the government disenfranchising folks or violating federal law. We should not have to worry about that. So stay informed about the election laws. I'm going to do my best here. If you are affected or feel like you have been affected, please contact the local registrar's office to resolve it promptly, right? You just do it. I'm going to go to the comments again, right? Let's see what we got here. So unrelated, Kristen Wheeler says, but who was the unnamed vendor in Virginia Beach ballot mix-up? How did many businesses were involved in voting process? How much money was spent on voting in Virginia? Those are really great questions that I don't have the answer to right now. I know that in Virginia Beach, that whole, let me tell you. Okay, I'm gonna slow down for a second. But I don't know. I don't know who the vendor was. I do know that there were specific communities that were involved in that. Remember, the ones less likely to be able to defend, right? This is why we got to have orgs and people that are up on it, willing and ready to help out. And I'm not sure how much was spent on, but when I go in, or I can actually make that request to find out. Each Department of Elections has a budget. Your local registrar has a budget to which they have to ensure that elections are put on. And then there's a state level budget. I'm sure that we can find that information out. My mom is 94. That Shay says, my mom is 94. I had to take her to City Hall to register again. I'm so sorry that happened to you. I'm also grateful that she has you, one, with your background and like getting it done and finding things out. But two, with your will and readiness to take her to correct the deficiency because our executive branch decided to violate federal law. And I hope that the courts see it in their in our favor that they violated law. And I hope that there's consequences for it, outside of just putting people back on, restoring the registration. She was like, that Shay says, I was told it takes 5 days to vote after the registration. They refused the provisional ballot this week. Yes, this week, they're going to refuse a provisional ballot. I know it's Lisa. Lisa, I was trying not to call you Suhey. I keep saying Shay. I'm thinking of Shay. So I knew it was you. That's why I accidentally call you Lisa at first, but I know people online see that Suhey and don't see Lisa. So I'm like, who the heck is Lisa? Yes. So we went through it in my household, and they said no, you can cast a provisional ballot today. But I don't know why. That's a good question of why you couldn't why they wouldn't let her cast a provisional ballot. I'm going to have to ask that, because I should have had them make, it's a good question. It's a good sentiment. I'm going to tap into that. Okay. So the diabolical tactics, K. Willie 97-1984 says that by diabolical tactics or non-citizens related. Yeah, that makes me angry. They're doing everything possible to scrub the rolls, get folks not to vote. Yeah. Vote them out. Yep. And that's what's odd is what's, all right, I'm going to say my opinion. Can I do that? My opinion on this. Let me look at the other comments before says it can teach you. Yep, I got that one. So my opinion on this is that, when next year is, and this is an election year, right? And I've seen how during election year, at least I've been through one election year with my colleagues, and I've seen how people get weird and they start doing things because either they're jockeying to be in the next administration, whether it's the state level in administration or it's at the federal level administration. I don't know what our governor's next what the governor of Virginia's next move is. Have no idea. But I imagine that that in the Commonwealth, they serve one term. Now there was that they can't serve they can't serve consecutive terms. So every 4 years, we always are going to have a new governor. I think they've only seen it once or twice where a person has been governor and then came back and ran. Terry McAuliffe came back and ran, or something like that. Yeah, not something like that. Yes, came back and ran. So our governor, his term is up. This is his last year's governor. 2025 will be his last little stint, right? Because next year in November on the ballot, we'll have the governor, lieutenant governor, we'll have the entire House of Delegates on the ballot. And so if he's looking for somewhere to go, he's got to appease some people, right? He's got to make himself look good in front of some folks. At least that's what my thought process is. This is not it. I think this is just a way to show people that, I'm still willing to do the fuck shit. Excuse my French, but I don't know any other way to put it. And I will be more correct I'm still willing to do the things to show you that I'm down, like, tip line and all. Like I'm still in it. Like I'm still willing. So it just makes it not to say really interesting. But I think people do things like this to remind their friends that they're still available. And so maybe he wants to go but it's unfortunate because I don't see a pathway forward, but I think that's what's happening here. But that's my hypothesis. I don't claim to know, but I realize that the bottom line here, y'all, as we move forward, the bottom line is that we have to be attentive for our community. You cannot take on the role of taking care of everybody and everything, but what we can do is that we can ask our neighbors, ask our parents, ask our folks around us in our world, hey, did you check your registration? Because you know that this is happening. And when you know that, then remind them to tell somebody else, because we're really we're being sued. The Commonwealth of Virginia is being sued right now. So it's not a small thing. It's not a fake thing. It's very real. And like that Suhey said, she had to take her mother. She had to take her mother to go fix her stuff, right? To go update her record. You got to check. So go to elections.virginia.gov, verify elections.virginia.gov, verify your registration is up to date. On top of that, just not even verifying, if you have the time, so you don't have to worry about the shenanigans. If you can vote early, do it. Just go ahead and knock it out. I know that you have to go to City Hall. But the satellite locations are going to be open up soon. So that'll be another avenue for us. Just go ahead and do it. Somebody called me a purist because I vote on election day. I have voted on election day. I take my daughter with me when it was before school, but I think now it's a holiday here, so it doesn't have to be before school. But I take my little citizen, my daughter, with me to go vote all the time. And on election day, it's like a thing for us. It's a tradition. And I don't want to stop that until she tells me that we have to stop. Till she tells me, Mom, I'm gonna go vote by myself. until she tells me that, we'll keep doing that. But just go ahead and knock it out for the greater good. Got a couple more things, and then we're gonna hop off of here, tell you the so what, now what, and keep it moving. Miss Charlene says, always, always, always check your local registrar to make sure that mailed ballot is received. Yes, that's another thing. I told you that there was a 14-day lag. Is that we also need you to make sure that you can call the registrar and be like, did you receive my ballot? Just to make sure, because unfortunately, we have worked our mail carriers into this situation by not paying, right? All the things, right? We worked them into a situation where mail is slow, and it's not just because of the people, it's because of the institution. So let's get mad at institutions and not at the people. Yeah, just make sure it's counted. Make sure, that's what Miss Charlene is saying, make sure it's counted. I agree with you. 1000%. And then what did you say here on, is that, okay, what is it? Kristen says, is that because of redistricting the entire delegation is on the ballot? Oh, no. So the entire the entire General Assembly, excuse me, the House is on the ballot because we have elections every other year. So our terms are for 2 years. So we run every 2 years. So I was on the ballot last year. And so now next year I'll have to be on the ballot. The senators are have 4-year terms. So in 2026, they will be on the ballot. That's on the reason why. Yep. And it's not the most fun thing, but it is kind of cool because I get to find ways, make sure I have ways to be, have touch points with people. With that being said, we are preparing for next year. So if you're interested in helping out with, door knock, let me tell you, door knocking is so fun. I don't want to tell you that as like I did it before I was in office. I just love door knocking in neighborhood. It just is the best. It is the best. It is the best. So we'll be door knocking. We'll be getting petition signed. I have to have 125 signatures to get on the ballot next year, but we'll be in session for the big part of the year. But we've got some amazing things coming up. I'm just excited to get this election out of the way, move forward, get ready for a new executive leadership in the Commonwealth for next year, like all of that. All right. So share with your friends, y'all. The more we know, the more we share, the better we are. This is the work. Seems like a high turnover in a short time. Yeah. I mean, it's most times you don't see it's not a whole lot of people turning over, Kristen, but every 2 years. I mean, it's not different from the federal level. At the congressional level, I believe the senators are every 6 years, and the Congress folks are the same on 2-year rotations. They have to run every 2 years. So it's comparable to what you see at the federal level. Yep. But it's work. XO Fave, yes, I would love for you to help. I would listen. Isn't it fun? I know there are people called election nerds, and I am one of them. And so are you, and you know, if you're not, it's fine. But yes, it's so fun meeting people. So as we get ourselves ramped up for Glass 2025, I will definitely be trying to get y'all like, let's go. Tell me what your strengths are. Tell me what you've never experienced. I think it's important to experience. If you've never stood at the polls, if you've never that is my joy of giving people their first experience with the things. I just love it because you fall in love. All right. So I'd like to see you record-breaking notes. Votes for the delegate. I do too. I want to see a record-breaking vote, like 80%. That's our goal. Let's try to get 80% of the votes next year. I'm putting a pin in that, Kristen. 80%. I think I got 60 something last time. Let's do 80. We got this. All right, then. I am Jackie Glass, Mama, Navy vet, certified doing the laced up legislator for the House of Delegates of 93rd District and your neighbor's favorite delegate. It's true. And what I will say is we are, if you believe in the work that we do and you appreciate what we do, please consider making a contribution to us. That is how I thrive, keeping good staff, keeping good systems, and, paying for things like StreamYard and things like that, just to make sure that we're able to connect. So I'm asking, put me in your budget. If you can put us in for $25 a month, that would be perfect. If you can make a larger contribution one time, that would be amazing. We always need those sorts of things. We do have some really cool fundraising things coming up. We just did karaoke. Karaoke was great. We will be doing kicks and cocktails. So put on your hot kicks and cocktails at the High Cup on October 20. I want to say the 28th, October 28th, October 26th on a Sunday. We'll be doing an all ski fundraiser where we'll be going skeet shooting. So that link will come up soon if you're interested in ever going skeet shooting. Let's go. I do it every other Sunday. It's a good time. Okay. We believe in gun safety and having a good time too. So love to see you. Love to see you. Thank you all for coming on. I will see you on the flip side. This weekend, oh guys, let me just tell you, this weekend I'm supposed to be racing horses. Like weird. I'll get video. Hopefully it happens. But yes, I'm excited for y'all. I will see y'all next I'm trying to think of where I'm in the streets. I'm trying to think of where I'm in the streets. Tomorrow I'll be at a maternal health. Actually, if you are interested in Black maternal health, there's a summit. It'll be streamed live. I need to post this up. That's where I'm lacking with the cracking, y'all, is with between, everybody kind of knows what's going on with my mom, between care, all that stuff, and school and stuff like that. I've got to get somebody on getting our social up, because I know we've been lacking for y'all. But we're gonna do better. We're gonna do better. We're gonna do better. We're gonna do better. Yes. Oh, okay, I get it. Kristen says, I wish I could donate without ActBlue or whatever. I understand that. Yes, you can write a check. That's look at I love you. She's like, you can write it. You can write a check. You can do a cash contribution, and we'll give you a little receipt. I understand that, because one of my email address ended up on the list before all of this, and I was kind of mad. I was like, why are y'all sending me this stuff? So yes, or PayPal. We can use PayPal too. So like, we'll take whatever. All right. Not whatever. We ethically. Thank you, Ms. Jan. We try to bring the energy, bring it up, bring it up, bring it out, bring them out, bring them out. Because we need it, right? We're doing this because we love each other. All right. I literally need to get ready to go. Got to keep moving this morning. Good morning, Mr. Levant. Good morning. Good to see you. As we head off. All right. So remember, what was that executive order, right? The executive order. When you remember, the National Voter Registration Act of 1993 is being violated, and folks were taken off. What do we call it? The quiet period. What is the quiet period? 90 days before a federal election. What is violated. That is why we got to get people. That is why we got to get these people out to check their registration vote. Yes, that's why we got to get them out. But don't forget, right? We're going to talk, we're going to speak, we're going to spit facts and truth. Okay. Oh, Daniel. Yes, I know. We're going to get to see each other in person. We're going to get to see each other in person. I promise it to you. It's going to happen. And yes. All right, y'all. Y'all know I talk to y'all forever. I'm going to take a sip. Check the last comment. All right. Again, I'm going to do it. I'm signing off for real this time. For real. Jackie Glass, Mama, Navy Vet certified doer, laced up legislator for the House of Delegates, 93rd District, your neighbor's favorite delegate. We'll see y'all on the flip side. Reach out if you need anything. Okay. Be well. I love